Hi, I'm Ellen Coughlan and I'm off to the USA on my very first trip to the Lone Star State of Texas. Just the name Texas conjures up different images in each of us, whether it be Wild West cowboys and gunfights, country music or space exploration, and I want to experience them all. My plan is to do a city tour of eastern Texas, from north to south and ending in the glorious Gulf Coast. I'll be starting off in the cowboy city of Fort Worth, before heading to the glitzy city of Dallas. Moving south, my next stop will be Space City of Houston, and finally the coastal city of Galveston. I'm also hoping to cram in some traditional Texan rural life while I'm there. Well, I'm all packed, I think so anyway, and I'm really excited to start Ellen's Texan adventure. Howdy and welcome to Texas. Texas is the second largest state in the USA and is located in the south of the country, bordering Mexico. If Texas were a country, it would be in the top 10 largest economies in the world, and it all started with the cattle industry. It is no wonder then that the traditional image of the people here is that of the Texas cowboys. It seemed logical, therefore, that I would start my adventure in the cowboy city of Fort Worth, a place totally unashamed of its past notoriety as a lawless frontier town. The city is one of the most traditionally Western cities in Texas, and in the 1870s was the last stop on the Great Cattle Drive to Kansas. As a result, it was a place where the cowboys would have one big last night before heading away from civilization. Today, as America's 16th largest city, Fort Worth is a leading leisure destination with an array of cultural and recreational activities for travellers to enjoy. Part of the #1 tourist destination in Texas and minutes away from the DFW International Airport, Fort Worth is recognised as the country's fastest growing big city and one of the best places to find work. I'm staying in the Omni Fort Worth Hotel, which was everything you'd expect from a luxury 4-star hotel. Comfortable, spacious, and oozing quality. And the view is just amazing. I can't wait to get out into the city. I dropped my luggage off and went straight into the leafy, red brick paved 14-block area of downtown Fort Worth, where I'm meeting a city tour guide to give me the lowdown.
So here is the Tarrant County Courthouse. It's built between 1893 and 1895. As you can see though, it's very beautiful, it's very big, it's very elaborate.
Yes.
It's actually so expensive to build because it's the 1890s that when Fort Worthians found out how much it cost us, all the government officials that were responsible for getting it built were promptly kicked out of office for building it.
No way.
It cost us $408,000. A lot of money in the 1890s. Our population wasn't even 50,000 yet. So it really set us back, but 120 years later, it's nice to have such a beautiful courthouse.
And it's still a courthouse today?
It is the only historical courthouse in Texas that's still being used as a courthouse. You won't find yourself in there for court unless you're in quite a bit of trouble, jury duty, or trying to get married on the quick.
Right, okay. I hope I don't find myself in there.
This is the Bass Hall. So it's home to the Fort Worth Symphony, the Texas Ballet Theater, longest-running ballet in Texas, Fort Worth Opera, longest-running opera in Texas. It also does host the International Van Cliburn Piano Competition. It's modeled after a classical European opera house. Main difference being it's a little bit bigger, a little bit more extravagant.
Right.
Once again, in Texas, like to do everything a little bit bigger. But it does also feature the two 48-foot tall angels and their golden trumpets.
Are they real gold?
They're not. There used to be a rumor that they were, and after hailstorms, people would come down here trying to find little chunks of gold. They never found any, so they stopped coming, I guess. All right, so this building here is the original location of the White Elephant Saloon. Longest running saloon in Fort Worth, still in operation today in our stockyards. But this is where it was in the 1880s. It was owned by this guy named Luke Short, notorious gambler and gangster out of Kansas City. Really good gunfighter. And he ran the saloon. Everyone wanted to come get a drink at Luke Short's joint. But he ended up getting a huge feud with our first city marshal, Timothy Isaiah Longlear Jim Courtright. We consider him to be our first city marshal. He actually was not our first city marshal. He was the fourth man to do the job. But he's the first one that could actually do the job, complete a full term. 3 guys ahead of him, 1 got killed. 1 went away because he's getting in too much trouble. 1 got thrown in jail. His first one to actually do the job well, cut a murder in half, became beloved by the city. But I did it by running a protection racket. He extorted all the businesses. Instead, though, Luke Short, he was a really, really good gunfighter, so he wouldn't pay. He said, I'll protect the saloon myself. And ended up causing a power struggle that turned into a feud, that turned into a shootout right here in the middle of Main Street on February 8th of 1887. Our first city marshals from the very beginning started yelling, "Don't draw on me, don't draw on me," but only so he could claim self-defense later in the future. He said, "Don't draw on me, don't draw on me," and tried to draw his gun first, but he got his thumb caught on his pocket watch. Luke Short helped him out and blew that thumb right off.
Ouch.
He threw the gun mirror, he grabbed his left, he kept on firing. But he's already shot once, not the movies. He couldn't hit Luke Short with his left hand. Our first city marshal shot 4 times. He crawled and he died halfway that doorway, February 8th of 1887. And that's what happened to our first city marshal.
Wow. I have to say, the stories of gunslingers, marshals, and bandits are really exciting. And to think it happened almost like the movies, it's pretty incredible. As alcohol was no doubt a big part of Fort Worth, it's the perfect excuse to visit a local distillery in the heart of what was once known as the notorious Hell's Half Acre. So I'm here in Acre Distillery and I'm getting a guided tour by Kyle. Thank you for having me, Kyle.
Of course, it's our pleasure.
So tell me, what actually do you distill here?
So here at Acre, we distill a number of products. We do vodkas, we have gins, bourbon, rum, and we also do a handful of moonshine infusions as well.
Oh, nice.
So we have a lot of, it's different than a typical distillery that kind of mass produces one product. So we like to incorporate a lot of different things to give our customers a lot of different choices for drinks and things like that. So
tell me a little bit about the history of this place.
This part of downtown Fort Worth where we're located used to be known in the 1870s up until the beginning of Prohibition as Hell's Half Acre. So this used to be an old red light district back in those days. So if you could imagine walking around on this side of downtown, there would have been saloons on every corner, gambling halls, brothels. I mean, it was the rough and tumble Wild West. A lot of famous figures from history spent some time here in Fort Worth. Most famously, I would say, were Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Oh, I know those names. Eager to see more of the distillery, Kyle took me on a guided tour. I really wanted to get to grips with the difference between moonshine and vodka.
So really all vodkas actually start off as moonshine. So moonshine is really, another name for it as grain neutral spirits. And what grain neutral spirits are, it's a very purified, high proof form of alcohol. So it starts out at 190 proof. So when I give you a proof number like that, if you divide it in half, that's the alcohol percentage. So 190 proof is 95% pure alcohol, or Everclear. And basically to make vodka, you use, in our case, we use a very special water that goes through an advanced purification and filtration system. And we use that water to cut the grain neutral spirits down from 190 proof to a much lower proof, in our case 88 or 44% alcohol for our vodka.
Okay.
So moonshine actually kind of starts out, or that's yeah, and then it turns into vodka later after it's proofed down.
Wow, okay. It's all very technical, but I think the proof is in the drinking, quite literally. And so, as the tour comes to an end, it really wouldn't be complete without a little taste. Okay, so talk me through some of your favorite spirits then.
Well, for me, being from Texas, I love bourbon.
Okay.
So I always tell people to definitely try our long-haired Jim, which is a straight bourbon. And besides our long-haired Jim straight bourbon, we also have a long-haired Jim single barrel select as well. So this one is 114 proof, so almost barrel strength from one barrel.
Wow.
So.
Is it called long-haired Jim because it makes the hairs in your chest grow longer, or is there another reason?
Partially, but long-haired Jim actually was the nickname of a guy named Jim Courtright, and he was elected city marshal of Fort Worth in 1877.
Wow.
So this was the guy that had the task with keeping Hill's Half Acre in line back in those days. Long-haired Jim's famous phrase, which is actually on all of our bottles and is kind of our unofficial motto here at Acre Distillery, is "Lord, make us good, but not right now," which we feel is is appropriate. Yep.
So let's try some then. Which one do you think I would like the best? Which is your favorite?
Yeah, the Peach Dream, which is a ginger peach tea flavored vodka, is outstanding. 60 proof. It's our Black Halo vodka that's been infused with natural ginger peach and a black tea. Nice. So it's very, very tasty.
Okay.
So I could certainly pour you, a small sample of that for your enjoyment. Here you go.
It's very early for drinking.
It's never too early for drinking, especially in Hill's Half Acre.
I know, right? Okay, that smells lovely. That's nice. It's not as bad as I was expecting. I was expecting hairs to grow from my chest, but I actually like this. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's actually one of our mellower spirits. It's only 60 proof, so 30%.
You actually really get the tea taste at the end.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Yeah, you get the peach, just like a little bit of the ginger, but the peach and the tea are really prominent.
Wow. So tell me, what can tourists expect when they come here?
Well, they can expect a very kind of Fort Worth-centric experience. You know, where obviously a lot of our brands kind of forge around the identity and the history of Old Fort Worth. People have a really great time here. It's great for big groups and private events and just coming out for a Saturday and hanging out.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for talking to us today. It's been really insightful.
Well, we've really enjoyed having you.
Pleasure, Kyle.
Come back anytime.
Thank you. It's quite clear that the cowboy history of Fort Worth is present everywhere you go. So far, I've just visited the modern downtown area, but I think it's time I head to the one place I'll see some real cowboys, the famous Fort Worth Stockyards. The Fort Worth Stockyards National History District is the true embodiment of wild Western heritage. Between 1866 and 1890, drovers trailed more than 4 million head of cattle through Fort Worth, giving it the name of Cowtown. Now, however, you can also experience over 100 shopping, dining and entertainment venues, making it a must-see for anyone coming to the city. So where to start? I know. When you're in Fort Worth, what do? You go to a rodeo. Well, this is Stockyards Championship Rodeo. It's definitely one for the bucket list. I can't wait for this one. The Cowtown Coliseum is the home of the Fort Worth Rodeo, an event that is still held regularly in front of excited crowds. The Coliseum was built in 1907 and was originally named the Grand Coliseum and used as a showground for cattle breeders. It soon became home to the first indoor rodeo and was renamed the Cowtown Coliseum. I met with Nate Krieger to find out more. So what makes this rodeo different to all the others?
Well, it's the world's only year-round rodeo. It's every Friday and Saturday night at 8 o'clock. I mean, when you come to Fort Worth, you should always be able to come see rodeo, and we allow that to be the case.
Yeah. So what do tourists expect when they come to see the rodeo then?
Well, you know, they expect a little excitement, some family fun, and we give them that. A lot of them have never seen a rodeo. It might be their first rodeo, or they've come back with some friends to see it again. So it's a good experience for them to kind of witness up close and personal a competition of man and beast. It's kind of neat.
So how long ago did all this get started then?
Well, the building here behind us, the Cowtown Coliseum, was built in 1908. And it was built to house the Fort Worth Stock Show, which outgrew the banks of Marine Creek. And in 1918, it housed the world's first indoor rodeo. And since then, every first in rodeo, from bull riding as a competitive sport to the way the buck and chutes open, every first in rodeo happened here. The world's first radio broadcast, television broadcast of rodeo. So it's kind of like a living history of rodeo. Kind of like to call it the rodeo church in a way. Rodeo conceptualized because of what they did on the ranch. This is a working sport. Like every event that you see in this tonight
Yeah.
is something they did on the ranch besides bull riding. Bull riding's different because you don't
Right,
break
okay.
bulls, but
Yeah.
you do have to break saddle horses and learn how to ride them and get them from being wild to tame.
Okay.
That's a real thing. Tie down roping and team roping are all parts of how you team doctor an animal, because cows aren't like dogs. You can't whistle at them and they come here. So if they're injured or they need some help or there's something medically wrong with them, you have to tie them down, you have to get them tied up so you can take care of them so they don't hurt themselves any further. And these animals, though, they're partners in this, and they're very, very valuable to these cowboys and cowgirls. I mean, it is a way of life. It's a lifestyle. These animals are treated with the utmost care because it's a value and a partnership. Some of these contestants have partnered with these animals for 15 years. So it's a really special thing to watch.
Oh, that's good. I look forward to seeing it.
It's going to be a blast.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thanks for coming.
And here it is, the Stockyards Rodeo. Despite what Nate says, some viewers may find the following scenes a little upsetting. After the national flag is displayed, the first event is bull riding. And they certainly go to town to create as much drama as possible to get you ready for it. As riders get ready for their attempts, entertainers run into the arena to keep the crowds pumped up. And it seems to be a family affair. I couldn't help but get in the mood. Being somewhat of an animal lover, I must admit I struggled with the lassoing part of this event. Nate did tell me that the animals aren't harmed during this rodeo, but I can't help but feel sympathetic for the calves. Perhaps it's because I've never seen anything like this before. It wasn't long before I started cheering on the little calves to escape. Next up was the horse riding event. So difficult and painful, yet it's a celebrated Texan event and the people here love it.
Wow. How does he stay on so long?
The most bizarre part of the event was when young children ran into the ring. The prize is tied to the back of the calf and it's released into the arena. And the children charge it to try and get the prize. And they seem to love it. Everyone loves it. Amazing. What an experience. All that rodeo watching has made me hungry. and across the road is the perfect place to grab some food in true cowboy style. Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue is, well, kind of how it sounds. They basically serve a lot of meat that's been barbecued. Opting for the fast food experience, you don't even get plates, just some paper, and simply the best meat you could get. Cooper's Old Time Barbecue is home of the original world-famous Big Chop and has been serving Fort Worth locals since 1953. The restaurant has a large main dining area and an incredible indoor-outdoor patio with a view of the Fort Worth skyline that can seat 200 hungry guests. So whilst you're in town, you have to check out the world's largest honky tonk here in Billy Bob's, Texas. Built in 1910 as a cattle barn for the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo, the world's largest honky tonk has been entertaining guests for over 30 years. With 127,000 square feet of Western-style entertainment, including arcades and casinos, line dancing lessons, and American pool. It also attracts some of the biggest names in country music.
So, Chris, thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here.
Tell me a little bit about honky tonks.
Honky tonks. Well, you're at Billy Bob's, Texas, the world's largest honky tonk. I guess what a honky tonk means is it's a place where you can go, you can dance, you can drink a cold beer, you can listen to live music. And it's just generally a place where cowboys will get together to have a good time.
Awesome. So some quite famous bands were playing here. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Tonight we've got Aaron Watson, but Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings have all performed here. Garth Brooks played here when he was on his way up. And George Strait, who's one of the truest Texas country artists that we have here, he started off as the house band. So the band that was playing covers of everybody else, he started as a house band and eventually became one of the largest country music artists in the entire world.
So what kind of dancing goes on here then?
Well, on any given night, you can find yourself some good old country and western dancing here. Line dancing, two-step, waltz, all those are great dances and all fall under the umbrella of country and western dancing, which is what you can find here.
Wow, well, will you show me some?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
What an amazing place. I think I'll come back later. But for now, there's more exploring to do. It's a new day here in Texas, and having heard all about cowboys since I've arrived, I decided today I was going to be one. Well, a cowgirl. I figured the best place to start was to head back to the stockyards.
So I'm about to watch a real cattle drive with real cowboys.
The Fort Worth herd are genuine Texas cowboys who drive these Texan longhorns in the world's only twice daily cattle drive. The jingle of spurs, the cattle bawling, and the rhythm of the hoofbeats bring the Old West to life. And I get to meet the cowboys and girls who make it happen.
We are the Fort Worth herd. We represent our Western heritage. The city put our program together in June of 1999 to represent the cattle drives that actually came from Fort Worth, driving all the way up north to Kansas. And you say, why? Well, the reason after the Civil War in the 1800s, Texas was broke, no money, lots of longhorns here. Got word from Kansas, which was up north, they won, they have lots of money. They sent word down here and says, hey, we're starving. You got beef, we got money. So the Texans gathered up all the longhorns, to make a major cattle drive. Up to 3,000 Longhorns drove them from Texas all the way up to Kansas and got almost $40 for each one of those Longhorns. Now $40 times 3,000 is a lot of money. That money came back to Texas, changed our economy here, and built Fort Worth for what it is today. All of our clothing is the authenticity of that cattle drive time period. It's not the George Strait pretty look-alike. It is this of the authenticity. And every gear that we wear and that we ride with has a purpose for those drovers that went up the cattle drive. Oh, I forgot to tell you, you know what drovers are? The ones who drive cattle, but that time period, they were all teenagers. So we all represent teenagers. And I the prettiest 16-year-old you ever seen? No comment from y'all. But the wild rag was used for a wash rag, tourniquet, keep the dust out of your face, the hat, keep the sun out, bad hair days, or fan a fire. You've got suspenders, hold your britches up because they didn't have any belt loops at the time. And then these good-looking boots, which are not comfortable, but they serve a purpose because in Texas you have a lot of cactus and mesquites. And then the authenticity of all of our saddles and the headstall and all of the gear represents that time period.
They offered to give me a lasso lesson, which obviously I had to accept.
You're gonna swing it, see that wrist, how it turns?
Yes.
And when you turn that wrist, that loop stays out of your face. And then you would point where you're going like that and let go right at the horns.
Right.
Keep your eyes on what you're catching. And I'm gonna help you with this on
Right.
2, let go.
Okay.
Now look what you're catching. You got 1, see how your wrist turning?
Yeah.
2, let go. But you got to point. You're fine, you got it out of your head.
Okay.
Point and go. Yeah!
I knew it. I'm a natural.
Thank you.
Heads up, girlfriend.
Yeehaw!
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, I feel empowered.
So following on with our cowboy team, we're here at the Texas Cowboy Hall of Fame to see some famous faces. The Texas Cowboy Hall of Fame honors those men and women who excelled in the sport and business of rodeo and the Western lifestyle of Texas. The Hall of Fame opened its doors in 2001, and the building is one of the horse and mule barns in the Stockyards National Historic District. Dating back to 1888, the barns housed over 3,000 horses and mules. The original wooden barns that stood in this place were lost in 1911 when a spark from a passing train ignited a fire. They were rebuilt and completed in 1912 and considered the first fireproof barns. The bricks, columns, metal doors, catwalks and cinder blocks seen here are all original architecture. The Hall of Fame houses a variety of collections, from guitars to classic horse carriages, with cowboy displays on show for all to enjoy. Hey guys! Not as friendly as other Texans. I decided to accelerate my cowgirl training with another experience which was waiting for me at the Stockyard stables. So I'm just about to go horse riding and I'm actually really looking forward to this one. Apparently we're doing a really nice scenic route along the river. I'm quite new to this as well, so hopefully my horse is nice to me. While I'm comfortable, it turns out that wearing shorts while horse riding may result in a little bit of chafing. A bit late now, but good to know. These horses are incredibly well trained and quite used to beginners riding them. Some are quite old and well behaved, but unfortunately for me, mine is a little younger and friskier. As we trot out, we follow the old cowboy route known as the Chisholm Trail. Out of the stockyards and into the wild. Tourists in traditional horse-drawn carriages pass us by, showing that not only are there more experiences here to enjoy, but also we're going very slowly. Before long, we're crossing an old wooden bridge and find ourselves in the Wild West. My horse seems a little hungry and looks for every opportunity to eat. The peace and serenity out here is amazing. Every now and again you see something that reminds you you're in the Old West. Catching up, I've really bonded with my fellow travellers, and we love every minute of our horse riding experience. Eventually, it's time to turn around and head back to the stockyards. Crossing old railway lines and wishing I was out there for just a bit longer. It was great. It was nice and relaxing, and Iwan loves food, so... Oh. Getting off the horse is a lot harder than getting on.
And then to hop back on.
It's time to move on from the stockyards and get back into the town to experience some more of that Texan food. I'm here in the family-run restaurant Heim to check out some of their famous barbecue. The Hem family have shared their passion for barbecue with all of Fort Worth to enjoy. So much so that the restaurant is known to often sell out. So make sure you come early and hungry. So I'm here with the owners, Emma and Travis. Thank you for having us, guys.
Oh, no problem.
So tell me a bit about this place.
We were a food truck originally, and now we have just hit about 8 months open at our brick and mortar here in Fort Worth. The community has really surrounded us, and they love our food apparently.
Yeah. Wow, I'm looking forward to trying some.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did the food truck get started? How did it all come about?
It was just a dream that we had for a while, and it was just kind of one thing, fell together, and we were able to find a food truck for lease, super cheap, and we spent just about all the money that we had and opened it the first day, and at that point we were selling, 1 or 2 briskets a day and just trying to pay the bills and that type of thing. But Fort Worth in particular and Southside really supported us, and then we kind of grew from there, and it wasn't much long after that we had 2-3 hour wait in line to get food.
Wow.
Which was crazy, but it led to where we're at now, and so now we have a full service restaurant, and we're building another restaurant in town, and it's been crazy, but we feel really blessed.
Yeah.
Amazing. So tell me about this t-shirt business. You have a slogan or something on a t-shirt that I heard about?
Oh, Rugi.
Oh yeah, that's a crazy story.
Well, your hat.
Oh yeah, Rangers. We're big Texas Rangers fans, which is like the local baseball team, and that kind of turned into a crazy international thing where one of our players punched a guy who was kind of being, was showboating a little bit, and we just said, well, that guy can eat free whenever he comes in the restaurant, and it just sort of snowballed into this crazy international thing. The Sun wrote a story about it. It's like
It was everywhere.
who would have thought?
It was on ESPN.
So what was the slogan?
Rugnet eats free, and it's just the guy's name that punched him.
And has he ever come in to eat here?
He hasn't come in yet, but
Right.
we've taken food to the baseball team 3 or 4 times now. So he hasn't been in the restaurant,
But he's tasted it.
yeah.
So if you had to choose one thing on the menu for visitors to come and try, what would it be?
Probably a beef rib. It's just like a massive 2-pound rib that's really for two or three people, but a lot of times we'll have someone will come in and just get 1 rib for themselves and take the bone home for their dog or something like that. But it's a very Texan sort of
It's pretty
menu
impressive.
item.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to go with the brisket because it is melt in your mouth butter. It is so good, and then with how we believe the meat should be raised humanely and everything, I think that adds a little extra to the final product.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you for having us, guys.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming in.
After another hearty lunch, I'm back at the stockyards once more. This time to check out the shops that populate the area. If you're looking for genuine cowboy attire, then this is the place for you. Shops galore with authentic cowboy and cowgirl clothing, and every accessory you could ever need. The Texas music scene is huge, and it's no surprise to see a record store here, even in the stockyards. I got a little lost looking through the collections of great artists, but did take time to have a little fun. While shopping, I stumble on a mock gunslinging event.
Permit me to introduce to you one of the greatest law legends ever to come out of the Old West. A man who has wrestled rustlers, rope robbers, and disbanded baby gangsters. A man who has outdrawn outlaws, gunned down gunslingers.
Okay, let me tell you what's going on. It seems that the deputy sheriff wants to be marshal, as he thinks that they have an easier life.
How come it is I got to do all the cleaning in this joint while you get all the glory?
Speaking of cleaning, deputy, why the barrels on this scattered gun are of my brother.
When Marshal John Wayne gives his gun to the sheriff to hold, he takes advantage of the situation and calls himself the new marshal.
Right there, Buffalo Breath.
That is until the outlaws arrive to challenge the marshal.
It says Marshal, but I ain't the guy. Yeah? Well, I'm sorry, Marshal, but me and my brother had us some big. Yeah?
Marshal Wayne plays with the situation, and Barnaby has a change of heart.
You said, whoever shoots that lump-eared, lingering lawman wins a free bottle of booze?
Yeah,
that's right. I want in on that.
I seem to got myself in a spot. I need you to tell them who the marshal is right now.
You want me to tell him who the marshal is right now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's easy.
Thank you.
Here.
The real marshal fools the bandits and then takes them down.
That's enough. We don't care who we shoot.
So we're going to shoot one of you.
Good luck, boss.
I reckon we don't give you much of a chance.
Much to the excitement of the surrounding crowds. It's loud, fun, and great to watch. So I've had a little taste of this city experience here in Fort Worth, but now I'm off to Wildcatter to try the cowgirl experience on a ranch. To the west of Fort Worth, you'll find yourself in North Texas Hill Country, home to the next stop, the Wildcatter Ranch and Resort. It's a perfect Texan sunny day, and the first thing that strikes you is the sheer size of the place. It's not long before I get the keys to my accommodation, a quaint little Texan shack named Marlowe Brothers. The shack is authentically designed from the ground up, with a huge living space that could easily accommodate a family-sized party. And if you take a look out the back door, there's a patio complete with a stunning view of the North Texas hills. The cabin has 2 king-size beds, each with bedding unique to the shack. It has a stone fireplace to keep you warm on cold nights and for those with romantic ideas. It's uniquely decorated and no cabins are the same, creating a bespoke experience just for you. There are communal spaces dotted around the ranch, including a basketball court, spa, and of course, a place to swim. There is also a hot tub and an infinity pool that looks out over the Texan Valley. The ranch has taken special effort to make this a relaxing haven for all its guests. After a little rest, it was time to explore some of the activities on offer. I'm here at Wildcatter Ranch and I'm just about to do some skeet shooting. I've never done it before. I could suck, but who knows, I could be good. Wish me luck.
This is a Pump 870. All right, so with every gun you have a safety on it, and so safety is our #1 rule. Anytime we're handling these guns, we want to make sure they're pointed downrange at all times, as well as that safety is on until we're absolutely ready to shoot. That safety is right here. When it sticks out on your trigger finger side, that means we're on safe. When you push it in, you get a red line on the other side. That means we're on fire. So red is for fire.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to leave that on safe until we're absolutely ready to fire.
Right, okay.
When you go to get your stance, I say kind of like a boxing or a fighting stance. You want to be 3/4 facing downrange. So that left leg is out in front of you, leaning forward into it. That way you can get majority of your weight up front.
Okay.
All right? If you lean back, that gun and that recoil is going to push you back and beat you up.
Right,
there.
okay.
So make sure you're leaning forward. That way you can just kind of wiggle this back foot and tap it around.
Okay.
The stock of the gun you're going to bring to the inside of your shoulder nice and tight. And the tighter you have it, the less recoil you're going to feel.
Right.
Once it's in there nice and tight, you're going to bring your cheek down here to the front of the stock, looking down this railing all the way to this bead. This bead is your sight, and that's what you want to put on the clay.
Right.
All right. So once you feel safe and you feel comfortable, go ahead and get it in your shoulder, cheek down, say take that safety off, and you'll go ahead and say pull, and that means we'll throw you a clay. And then as that clay goes in the air, you're going to track it with that bead and simultaneously pull that trigger as you keep moving with it.
Okay.
All right. Shooting 2 shots, go ahead and make sure that safety's back on, and we'll go ahead and reload and try again.
Okay. Does it shoot 2 shots straight,
So
like with one
a pump
trigger?
shot, it shoots 1 shot at a time.
Okay.
What happens is when you load that first round, this slide is going to put that in the chamber. All right, and then you're going to load one in the tube underneath it.
Okay.
So after you shoot, you're going to go ahead and eject that shell you just shot.
Right.
And it'll load that second one in there. You'll be good to go to shoot the second round.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. Okay, now it's my turn to have a go.
All right, so bring it down here. So you're going to just hold it underneath your arm. There you go. So we're going to load it first.
Okay.
So kind of hold it sideways. Remember, brass side is always backwards. All we're going to do is drop it in there and then slide this forward, and it's going to load that first shot. All right?
Okay.
Then you flip it over, and we're going to push down on this tab and then use our thumb to push it forward all the way till it clicks. So that's that second round I was talking about. So your first
Load
round
up.
is ready to go once you take it off safety. As soon as you shoot, you're going to pump it, and it's going to eject that shell, and it's going to load that next round for you.
Okay.
All right?
What's the backfire like? Am I going to fall back?
You're going to be like way back now.
Up in that tree?
You'll be good to go.
Okay.
All right, so go ahead and get in your shoulder, and you want to let it sit about right there.
Okay.
More into your shoulder than in your armpit.
Okay.
All right. And you're going to cheek down here lightly against the front of the stock. Bring this down just a tad for me. There you go. And the tighter you're pulling back into your shoulder, the less recoil you're going to feel.
Okay.
All right. So you see that silver bead?
Yeah.
So don't shoot. I'm going to show you what it looks like. It's going to be just like that. So
Oh, okay.
as that clay gets out there, ideally you want to shoot as it gets to that highest point. So with your head down, you're going to take that bead and follow that clay. And once you find it, you're going to squeeze that trigger and keep moving with it.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and take that safety off. All right. And go ahead and say pull when you're ready.
Okay. Pull. Oh my God.
All right.
That is so hard.
So slide it back. There you go.
Ooh.
And forward.
Oh, it smells.
All right. So bring this hand back a little bit. There you go. Tuck that elbow in. Use it to support the weight of the gun there.
Okay.
Cheek down. All right. Cheek down. And so you see that silver bead?
Yeah.
So bring it a little down. Clay's not that high. There you go. Perfect.
Pull. Oh, that was close, was it?
So it was a little in front of it. All you
Yeah.
did was rush it there. So when that clay flies out there, it seems like you got no time to shoot it.
Yeah.
But you actually got plenty of time if you relax and go follow that clay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you so much,
You
Nick.
bet, you
that
bet.
was great.
Excellent. You did pretty good.
Thank you. Oh, it's kind of terrifying though. It's just like the noise.
Once you get over the
The
thinking
fear.
the fear of it's gonna kick you back into yesterday.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
But it does a bit, like it pushes your arm.
But like I said, the tighter you have it, the less that gun has to move.
Yeah.
So the less it's gonna beat you up back there.
Wow, God, you really get adrenaline rushing when you started. It's like, whoa. Well, I'm not really sure if that was for me. It is quite sore on the arms when it pushes you back. But if you're here, you definitely have to give it a shot.
Next time on Ellen's Texan Adventure. I continue to explore the delights on offer at the Wildcatter Ranch and Resort, including more horse riding and a tour of the Texan Hills.
So this whole area through here used to be a campsite for the Comanches.
Then it's a journey back east to the gleaming city of Dallas to discover what this rich metropolis has to offer. See you next time.